As expected, the Supreme Court today decided to take up the question of whether businesses can reject coverage of contraception under Obamacare. The case based on Hobby Lobby's objection to the health reform law. We know it's a company with strong religious beliefs here, but we talked about this last night, and we had Mark Furnish on. We don't know where this starts and stops. Are you comfortable that a company, if it has strong religious objections, can be able to say, contraception, for example, is against our beliefs. We don't want to be basically enforced to have to offer it to our employees?
No, I am not comfortable with it. I think the exemption that currently exists for religiously based institutions that have a mission, like a church or a hospital that has a mission based on religion, is one thing, but a private employer, for profit cannot exempt themselves simply by saying I disagree from any variety of laws, whether it's anti-discrimination laws, coverage of health care. We're talking about fundamentals of health care. No, I don't buy it. I don't know how the court's going to come down.
How about you?
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they do rule. If you look at what they did with the Citizens United case and use that as a model, I think they probably will rule that it should be separated and they should have the religious freedom.
Don't you worry that's a slippery slope?
Well, to what end? I mean,
let's say Chick-fil-A, we know where they stand on certain issues. Let's say we don't want a certain client, a certain group of the population
Well, we don't want to hire
restaurants.
gay people.
okay, well, I don't agree with that, but I think it's a slippery slope when we start mandating the private sector and individual businesses to, and there are anti-discrimination laws on the books that prevent against that kind of stuff. This business, it's not a religious institution, but they have a very substantiated history of having a religious background. So
we don't let people in this country be able to make up their own rules.
But this whole thing with Obamacare, I think, is just ridiculous. The premise of it is ridiculous. The argument that contraceptives are essential to a woman's health, frankly, I just don't think is factual. It's not true. It isn't. There's nothing essential to women's health about it. So having an employer mandate that is infringing upon, I think, their individual rights.
I'm not a woman, so I really shouldn't be arguing this. But wait, if a woman doesn't want to get pregnant, isn't that essential? I mean,
no.
Okay,
then don't. Being pregnant, there are things you can do to not be pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. It's.
The word essential is part of the statute. It's
right,
not really what we're talking about. What we're talking about is what is
word.
Preventive health care that every employee is entitled to, every female employee. And I think whether you call it essential or not essential, it's part of the package of health benefits that doctors say women should have. And that's what the package of benefits that Obamacare, which I always have to remind people was passed by by Congress, it wasn't passed by a president standing alone, by Congress said you need to have the array of preventive benefits that doctors say are essential.
But these people this company is saying that they support condoms and other contraceptives. They don't want Plan B, I think it was, which is an emergency contraceptive.
I think if you look, bad case makes bad law in this case. It's the perfect analogy. We even talked about this last night. It's like the premise of New York, where they're considering if taxpayers want to take their tax dollars and put it to private schools instead of going towards basically public schools, we can't let people decide which laws they want to adhere to and where they want their tax dollars specifically to be spent. What if I don't believe in the war in Iraq? I'm going to withhold my money for defense? It's an overused expression. We do it all the time in the show, slippery slope, but this could be the test case for it. I want to get to the second thing here really quick, which is Chris Christie and the DREAM Act. He's not going along quietly on this one. Politically, I want to talk about it. This is another example where he's trying to thread the needle, it seems to me. Okay, and I'm not going to try and divine where he really stands on the issue. Let's say he's voting his conscience and he feels this way about it. Yeah, it's hard to get this both ways. He wants to, for example, allow in-state tuition rates for children of illegal immigrants, or that even came into this country illegally, but he's not for the DREAM Act. And the one thing I always give him credit for is he was clear and he was authentic. In this case, it's muddled.
Well, because what if you look at his comments on the bill, and they haven't been too extensive, but his comments were that he said up front he had some regulatory issues with the bill and some of the language in the bill that was problematic. He told them he wanted the changes. They didn't make the changes. And now all of a sudden they're screaming, you know, he's running for president. Like, it just really smells of like a political setup. I don't know the answer to it, but I think if he had really said, you need these changes for me to sign the bill, and they refused to make them, then he has every
Financial
right
aid, I
to
believe.
threaten
I think it was financial aid.
Right.
So he doesn't want them
And
to be
there's-
eligible for financial aid.
and people from out of state being able to come in and say that they qualify now for that. So
Kind of though, like
you
with
know-
gay marriage, where he wasn't going to fight the court ruling here, where he could have. I mean, it was the best thing that could have happened to him. It's going to keep happening. I mean, we all believe he's going to run in 2016 here, and to try and be the guy that you can call moderate on some stuff and not others, he can use the term when he wants to. He's going to keep getting put in the box here.
Well, it's also, Jessica said earlier, he's the guy that you always know where he stands, and when he tries to split the issue on things like this, that might be the worst thing that he could do. He doesn't want to upset anybody, but
no,
he's
but I
supposed to be
think
Mr.
sometimes
Decisive.
you have to also view this through a political lens as well and see, you know, it's easy to just say, what's going on here? Is he opposed to the DREAM Act versus
No,
the
he don't do
local
politics.
of what it's
He don't. Governor
Well,
Christie,
come on.
he's above
We're gonna,
politics.
guys, when we
know
come
where he
back here, I
stands.
think we've got a debate even on Thanksgiving, and when folks are being asked or told to work here, folks on this side of the table, I think are going to disagree with this side. We'll be right back with that after this.